right? So you have to order these investigations at least before 20 weeks or at least 24 weeks for severe anomalies. Always give various options to the patient for the investigation. Remember that you have to give option to the patient and they have to choose. Right? There has to be a cafeteria approach. Tell patient what they want. Even they don't choose, you just write the alternate, that these are the alternates given to the patient. And they are choosing this. Even for transferring patient. If you are transferring a patient, you have to write. And recently, one incident from Hyderabad, it happened. Uh, we are giving consents to our clients and they are using that consent for transfer. And in our consent, transfer consent, it was mentioned that patient was given choice of various hospitals, private as well as government, for the further treatment. Patient chose Dash Hospital. Now that hospital's name was written by our client, patient signature was there. Now patient was admitted at that ICU and some bill was a few lakhs rupees, say 50-60 lakh rupees. Now that patient is claiming that you sent us to the hospital of your choice and we incurred this much cost. I gave, in reply, I sent that copy of this, Xerox copy of that consent signed by that patient. I said, see, it is written. So once something is written and signed, it will be believed. So that type of defense you should create beforehand. Always correlate the findings of investigation clinically and advise further test. You always write in your report, correlate findings, because in one of the case where a radiologist wrote something that the Doppler study, he wrote that there is an abnormal Doppler and the gynecologist terminated the pregnancy or at 34 weeks and child was preterm and otherwise healthy. So they said it is because of the radiologist I terminated. Right? But so you have to write as a radiologist or as a sonologist, correlate finding clinically. That means the decision lies on them and your responsibility can be relieved. And maintain a copy of OPD records. That is also very important. You must have OPD records with you. Many a times I have seen doctors who are giving the various cheats for various tests. But patients at the time of filing case, they will not present that cheat. They will say that these tests were never ordered to me. So there is no defense if you do not have copy of the OPD records. Always mention possibility of certain condition in percentage as far as possible. No advertisement of the center to solicit the patient. Never write about something which you have not seen or examined. So many cases of limb anomalies, the missing limbs. I am having at present 4 to 5 cases of missing limb anomalies on sonography. And all 4 limbs seen, they are writing there. Because when 2 are seen, they will presume that other 2 are there. Do not do that. You just write that left leg and left hand was seen. Whatever is seen, you write. But do not write something which you have not seen or not examined. No loose comment about the colleague and do not help patient out of the way. Rather refer to the government hospital. If you want to terminate pregnancy, suppose it is 20 week 1 day, 20 week 2 day. In law, and now it is 24 weeks suppose. In law, the limit ends on the day midnight 12. You understand that? For us, it is plus or minus 1 day, 2 day. But in law, doesn't run that way. If you have, say, voting right at 18 years of age, it is on your 18th birthday only you can have that right. Right? If you get the senior citizen card, it is after your 62nd birthday only you will get that card. Right? So, in law, the limit ends on that very day at midnight 12. Right? So 20 weeks ends on 20th week, midnight 12. After 1 hour also you cannot terminate. So do not help any patient out of the way. There are cases filed against it is illegal abortion. The punishment is 7 to 10 years of imprisonment. So if you want to take that punishment, no issues. Those who do not fear jail, this lecture is not for them. And jail is a good place. They give food, they give work, they give clothes, right? And you get to see your spouses every 15 days. So it is good. Always examine a female patient in presence of female nurse or a relative. Always. I have seen there are 2-3 cases against male doctors. And do not do this. He is just checking mail, but she thinks that he is taking pictures. Do not make any gesture that creates suspicion in the mind of the patient. And always accept the limit, right? Suppose somebody cannot do certain things which the other person can do. Right? Even between me and Bela, I cannot see anything on a sonography. It looks black and white to me. right? It likes a black and white TV, and she can find out many anomalies. So always have a limit. Whatever you can do, you just do that much only. And if there is a medico-legal case, take medical, legal and medico-legal advice. Because the lawyers, those who are general lawyers, they do not understand our language. Right? Right? Just like this. Here the board was put only tennis shoes allowed on the court. And one lady went there with only tennis shoes. So that is what happens with the lawyer. Right? And they also do not understand our action. I will give you an example. Say patient was taken for cesarean and there was PPH hysterectomy was done. And that lawyer was constantly asking me why uterus was removed when cesarean was consented for. They don't understand our action. Similarly, like this lady, she is in some foreign country, she doesn't know the language. So she is showing some action, right, to the person. And you will come to know what she wants. But he did not understand the action. So it is medical, legal and medico-legal. All three have to work together to have a successful outcome. And what is the successful outcome? See the previous slide, and this is the last video of my lecture. This is a medico-legal consultant. And this is a routine gynec consultant, right? And this is the role of a medico-legal consultant. Right? So that is how it happens. And last but not the least, how to avoid medico-legal problems. You can start your band, you can become photographer, you can join Bollywood, you can join Sunshine, or you can join Daud Gang. Ultimately, you have to run away and leave medical practice. Right? That is the 100% surety that you will not have any medico-legal problem. So I always tell that if you follow Baba Ramdev, you may learn to diagnose your own piles. Some asana to diagnose your own piles. But it is impossible. It is impossible to be 100% safe from medico-legal problem while being in a medical practice. So do not fear it. It is a professional hazard. And my teacher used to tell me, if you do not perforate a uterus, you are not doing enough MTPs. Similarly, I am telling you, if you do not receive a single notice, you are not having enough practice. Please increase your practice. You must get one legal notice. So do not panic. Do not compare yourself with others. And if you keep on thinking about the case which has gone against you or cases filed against you, you may harm the other normal case while looking at that case. So forget about it. Right? Do not keep remembering that case. We may look for the things very far off, but actually it can be very near. Similarly, I will be just around the corner. If at all you need me, I will be just around the corner. And if you want to have your practice fast and speedy like this rocket, this is the time some medico-legal consultant's card should be there in your pocket. Thank you very much for patient hearing. So have standard practice, documentation, consents.
About the MTP amendments and documentation, which is a very important part. So they have been so kind to come here all the way to address whatever problem our members have for documentation. Documentation for medical termination, which has to be done online, and if any one of us have any problem regarding the forms or filling up, if there is any query, the team is there and we are going to have a small session from them after this session of, which is the last session of today's session. So please be here and be ready with any queries if you have. Now another thing I would like to tell sir is, sir, we are very fortunate in one aspect. Though you are seeing no male member in our society, but our society is very fortunate to have some medico-legal experts with us, and if need is there, we get wonderful inputs from them. That is one. Second thing I would like to mention again over here is, FOXY, our head office is doing a lot of things, and we need to be aware about those things. They have an open forum. If any member has any doubts, I'm sure sir must be on the panel there also. You can put your query and you will get the answer. So don't be scared of getting medico-legal inputs. If there is any problem, rather than going halfway through, coming back again, and then trying to swim with all the necessary equipment so that we sail through in our practice. Thank you so much.
Special thanks to our OBGYN Society, Dr. Bela Bhatt. A special thanks to Dr. Smita Dengle for calling us here and giving us an opportunity. So, thank you. So it was a beautiful, wonderful talk. And Bela ma'am has actually led a base for my talk today. Genetics is complex. It's super complex, but we are there to help you out, understand and simplify it. We understand that you cannot really sit with your patients, give them 45 minutes to 1 hour and explain them each and every aspect of genetics. So we are always there to understand which test to offer when. As ma'am mentioned, these genetic tests are equally expensive. They're about 25 to 30,000. But it has to be indication specific, and we as a team in Lilac Insights is working for this motive only, that we will only offer specific testing. So we'll be talking about genetic counseling and its impact on our patients. So ma'am has actually beautifully explained what is genetics and in-depth genetics as well, which includes microarray, exome sequencing, MLPA-based Sanger. So this has been explained already. I shall skip this slide. So who's a genetic counselor? So how can I pitch in to explain things to your patients? So I'll be a bridge between you clinicians and the patients. So we're the gap or a bridge between you and your patient. So whenever I have talks or whenever I speak to doctors, I receive a lot of calls from doctors asking for a lot of opinion. But then there's always a question, why do I refer the patient to a genetic counselor? Or what is the benefit of explaining or referring the patient to a genetic counselor? Your patient will be in the safe hand. First, very important, it is very important to understand that everything will come under one roof. They don't have to hop again and again to different centers, will not refer them or cross-refer them. They will absolutely come back to you. They'll always be in the safe hand with the correct knowledge. So as ma'am mentioned, it's very important to have the correct history. From the basic history, family history, mother, parents, their grandparents, everything. Complete detailed history is very important. Then the current pregnancy or the index child history. All that will decide which test to offer. Once we understand which test to offer, then we'll have specific testing options. Now when we talk about chromosome analysis, we have 3 types of tests available. FISH, karyotype, microarray. Which one to offer? Again, very indication specific. If I am looking for a cardiac abnormality, I will just not go for a karyotype. I will definitely offer a microarray because it has, it has advantages. So that's what we're going to help you out with, understanding each and every advantage when you hand over the patients to us. And that will be specific to that particular patient. Next is indication specific testing, end-to-end solution at the same roof. Next, very important is report interpretation. Now when we talk about report interpretation, ma'am mentioned about clinical exome sequencing. She mentioned about whole exome sequencing, microarray. Those reports or those tests generate a huge amount of data. Now that data has to have a clinical base. Unless and until you give clinical data, clinical knowledge, the bioinformatician or the lab will not give a better report. So you have to really first pick a better lab, a better geneticist, then help them interpret the report properly with best clinical information. Only then we can provide diagnosis for our patient. So everything will go hand in hand. Last but very important is patient satisfaction. So everything, obviously ma'am mentioned that everything will not have an answer. But there are few things where we can diagnose, we can help them in the current or a future pregnancy and really give them hope for having a normal child. What exactly happens in a genetic counseling? So these are a few small steps that we follow. We first understand the concern. So we understand the concern of the clinician, very, very important. We understand the concern of our patient. When the patient comes to us, they have a lot of things. पता नहीं क्यों genetic counseling बोला है. हमारे family में history है पर पता नहीं genetics क्यों बोला है. So they are not very clear. So we really want to understand their concern first. Then we take down the family history, which is very, very crucial. Next is we make them explain them basics of genetics. What is genetics? Why it is important? Why testing is required? Why we have to look at chromosomes? Why we have to look at something much deeper into it? Why we need to zoom inside? All that is very much important. Next very important thing is addressing the concepts and aspects of genetic counseling, which includes financial support, which also includes emotional support. There are a lot of family pressures, social stigma. If there's a patient with albinism, we understand that the patient is suffering with a social stigma. Patient does not want to have a child again with albinism who would look fair, slightly abnormal, or slightly different than a normal skin tone. So that's what is also addressed during the counseling session. So genetic counseling includes genetics and counseling. Next is recommendation, which is going to become very, very specific and specific to the indication of that particular case. Then we provide a detailed summary, which is very, very important as a documentation. Genetic counseling also falls into PCP and DT. So again, documenting these summaries are equally important. Who should avail this service? So this is again a very important question that comes up. कि किसको भेजा जाए genetic counseling के लिए? So premarital counseling can be considered where there's a family history of suspected genetic condition like thalassemia, cancer, or there's history of consanguinity. We understand that Bhopal does not have a huge consanguinity, but nowadays there's a scat.
It does because it has a lot of Muslim population and there are consanguineous marriages in Muslim population.
Sure. Thank you, ma'am. So as ma'am came up with a point where Bhopal does have a huge consanguinity. So consanguinity is not the major factor, but is one of the factors which could include genetic conditions or could give rise to genetic problems. Next is late onset disorders. We always ignore कि बुढ़ापा आ गया है इसीलिए the person is shivering, forgetting, dementia is there, will not be able to walk, or there is tremors, there is ataxia. But it's very important to understand whether it is age related or it is a late onset genetic condition. So when there is a late onset genetic condition, it is important to have a genetic consultation, get a genetic diagnosis done, and then we can prove that it is only age related or an actual genetic diagnosis like Huntington is present. Next is predictive testing. Preconceptional, I would really like to see patients in the preconceptional zone, which is very, very important because we get a lot of time to work up the case. So any patient with recurrent pregnancy losses, bad obstetric history, or a neonatal death. So if there is a child was born, normal 6 months growth, but suddenly had suddenly seen that there is a developmental delay, there is lethargy, there is seizures, and admitted and expired in a day or two. Could be because of an inborn errors of metabolism, example galactosemia, which ma'am presented. Infertility, hemoglobinopathies again, a very huge belt of sickle cell and thalassemia here. Chromosomal abnormalities, any parent with Robertsonian translocation with a reciprocal translocation are subjected to genetic counseling. Next, consanguinity, very, very important again. And advanced maternal and paternal age. We all talk about maternal age. Double marker, quadruple marker, Down syndrome. Paternal age is equally important because it could lead to skeletal dysplasias or cardiac abnormalities. Prenatal, I think when prenatal comes into picture, fetal medicine verticals comes into existence there, where there's a lot of imaging, NT scan, anomaly scan, where a lot of soft markers or anomalies are detected, and hence the further testing options can be discussed. Post-test counseling, where it becomes a pediatric counseling segment, where we can talk about chromosomal abnormality. Maybe there is a unbalanced translocation, or there is a dysmorphism in the child, intellectual disability, autism, skeletal dysplasia. This is a huge spectrum which requires genetic counseling. What type of cases can be considered for genetic counseling? So it could be any pre-test, post-test counseling, which includes double marker, amniocentesis, CVS, which also includes thalassemia when both the parents are screen positive, or has an abnormality on the ultrasound, could range to autistic child, or cancer history. So it could be a preconceptional, cancer-related, predictive testing, premarital, pediatric, or late onset. These are our 4 rules, very, very clear rules that we follow. We are non-directive. We never say that please go and get a karyotype done. Please go and terminate. Please go and get exome sequencing done. We tell them each and every scenario. We leave it up to them and the clinician to opt for that particular test. So it's going to be a non-directive approach. Confidentiality is maintained. Clear communication between the patient and us and the clinician. No bias approach. So even if I have a relative sitting in front of me, I will never have a biased approach. If it is a microarray that is required, it is a microarray that is required. So these are the 4 rules and laws that we follow. What is the role of a genetic counselor? And really only one role is to help the patient opt for the correct test of choice and make an informed decision on the current and future pregnancies. This is what is the main role of a genetic counselor. So the other role of a genetic counselor in accordance to a clinician is to opt for the correct test. So these are the 3 services that Lilac Insights provide. It is e-genetic counseling, advanced genetic counseling, and follow-up counseling. How do you avail? So I understand that I come from Mumbai. How do we avail genetic counseling? COVID has given this blessing where we have electronic genetic counseling, where you can avail through our website. This is our website. These are our numbers. We have a representative also here in Bhopal who is Manoj Sharma. You can contact him and refer the patient there. Once you refer the patient, do not worry, it will be completely taken care. And I actually assure you that electronic genetic counseling will be equally informative, equally reliable as an in-person counseling. There will be no difference at all. And the second option that we have is you can send the patient to Dr. Smita Degle. We really have everyday patients where we see we have a lot of exchange of knowledge, and we really look into cases with genetics. Okay. So this was all about genetic counseling. The other very important part that I wanted to discuss other than genetic counseling was newborn screening. So I'm sure you all must be thinking that newborn screening is something that we really don't look at, whether not our segment. But to be very honest, I think you people play a very, very important role, a key role in referring the patient for newborn screening. Why? Because it could lead to irreversible damage. If not detected earlier, we can really not give a better life to that particular child. These are only 7 simple conditions which have been screened, validated for Asian population, easily available by doing a small test through a heel prick sample. It's a DBS sample. Heel prick has to be done, collected, shipped to the lab. Lab will do the test and give you the result. Now, why to do this? Why? How do you play an important role? because the patient is with you for the complete tenure. 9 months you see the patient. There's a lot of trust that is built. If you tell them that this is a mandatory test or a universal screening that has to be done, they'll really take your words and get this test done. As you mentioned, a double marker needs to be done, they'll really go and get it done. The same way, newborn screening will have a different impact when you tell them to really go ahead and get it done. So, newborn screening is a screening test which will help us screen the population and pick up the high risk population. Why to do so? We can really prevent the damage that can happen to the entire body, which includes the brain, muscle, hormones, kidneys, liver. Very, very important organs of our body. Once damaged, cannot be reversed. This is our multidisciplinary team. So we have 2 clinical geneticists on board. One is Dr. Chaitanya Datar, experience of about 15 years in the field of genetics. We have Dr. Tanmay Deshpande, we have Dr. Vaishali Madgaikar, and we have 4 trained genetic counselors, which includes me as well. One small message, take-home message is, we're just a phone call away. So if you have any queries regarding genetics, genetic counseling, please give us a call and we're there to solve your queries. So thank you.
NIPS is a best secondary screening test because combined test is something which gives much more information than just trisomy 21 or common trisomies. It throws light on many other genetic problems. Sensitivity is 90% with 5% false positive rate at 11 to 13 weeks, 6 days. So first best screening test is combined screen. Now on combined screen, if you have an intermediate risk, 1 in 250 to 1 in 1000, or high risk but patient is not ready for invasives, then you can offer a better secondary screening test which is NIPS, again with counseling that it is most sensitive 99% for trisomy 21, not for other trisomies and sex chromosome. It reduces from 99% to say 97% for 18-13, even 92% for sex chromosomal disorders. So sensitivity is 99% for trisomy 21. So if your combined test or FTS, first trimester screen, has shown high risk for trisomy 21, 18-13, yes, you may offer NIPS with the sensitivity for each of them, right? So that is one way of using NIPS. If patient, you want to use NIPS as a good screening test for trisomy 21, please combine it with your combined test, right? Double marker is, the only double marker will be just 60% sensitive. We never do only double marker. We do a combined test, the sensitivity of which is very good, 90%. And we get so much more information, you know, about structure anomalies, about prediction of preeclampsia, prediction of fetal growth restriction, so many other information we get from nuchal scan plus double marker. So that is always our primary screening test, and then we decide whether we want to go for a secondary screening test. After counseling, you tell about patient about sensitivity of each test, and then let patient decide whether patient wants to go for this or for diagnostic test or not.
So still we go.
So it's up to patient how much they want to spend and with the clarity of sensitivity of each test.
Now one more thing, from say a CVS or amniocentesis or after delivering the fetus.
Okay. So immediately after termination, if you want microarray, you can take fetal tissue because it doesn't need live cells. Right? That is the beauty of my. Now to the genetic lab, you can take fetal tissue, skin from the thigh and shoulder or 1 centimeter of umbilical cord, and if you do not have culture media, also fine. You can send it with NS with few drops of antibiotic and immediately send. Do not put formalin in it. This is not for your HP examination. Yeah, so fine. So send the fetal tissue to the genetic lab, and if you are doing testing that time itself, then the geneticist would offer, if we get a result on that only, no need to store. If we are not doing testing, then patient is not ready to spend on genetic 1 year before their next pregnancy. You can test on the same tissue to reach to a diagnosis based on which you can counsel for the next pregnancy.
Patient doesn't want to get the test done at that particular time and you are storing that sample, what precautions should be taken and who is responsible for taking care of that sample? Medical legally, what is the implication?
See, your duty is to advise, first thing. If they take your advice, if they don't take your advice, it is their call. Only thing is, it's called negative consent or consent of refusal. Many a times they don't sign. In that case, you can take signature of 2 other witnesses that patient did not sign. That also you can write and take 2 other people's or person's signature. And the witnesses are the witnesses for the signature or for the incidents that this has happened. So you can do that also. And if it is written in a routine manner, like afterwards if you try to add, then court will come to know. But if it is written in a routine manner, the way you are writing the case paper in a chronological order, then it will be believed that it was written at that point of time. And that is called contributory negligence by the patient. If something goes wrong, it will be taken against the patient.
So then the other counseling, and is it accepted by court of law? If there is any video record of negative consent, suppose, is it taken into consideration?
Any video admissible now, but it is secondary evidence. Primary evidence is document, and it is better not to have video recording. If it is, so you have CCTV camera, right?
Yes.
Also have a mic also in your consulting room. You can have a mic also, but you keep it for yourself. If you feel that it is required to be present to the court, fine. Otherwise, there is no need for video counseling, only in 2 situations where law demands it. One is Organ Transplant Act, where the law says that the counseling has to be video counseling. Second is any research purpose. They say that there has to be on any drug or of the volunteers, how you are counseling them for newer drugs. And in Surrogacy Act, which is not made into act yet, it is a bill. There is a proposal of counseling, recording of the counseling of surrogate. But if it is not required by law, do not overdo it. Right? India is a country where over-information also is harmful.
Yes, true.
Right? So do not give over-information to anybody. Right? Somebody is asking her also.
Sir, ये ज़रूरी है. Ma'am, first thing is how do we interpret the intermediate risk? Right? If the patient suppose his age is 40, so once you her 12 weeks, 11 to 13 week scan is normal, NT scan, and because her age is
Low
40,
risk. Or
she is,
intermediate.
yeah, it is low risk, and because her age is 40, if you see her double marker test, because of age she comes in intermediate risk, but her beta HCG and PAPA is in low risk.
Okay, this is a very, remember that any screening test is not a screening test. There is a screening process, and at the end of screening process, you should have only one risk. There cannot be multiple risks. Double marker में ये risk था, nuchal में ये risk था. अभी क्या करें? No. So if you are getting double marker done, combine it with a nuchal scan. Otherwise, your sensitivity of that risk will be 60%, which is useless. Only double marker. We never judge on based on just double marker. We always combine it with nuchal scan, so that the combined risk is 90% sensitive. Now I have one risk in hand, which is combination of combined and double marker, right? I don't have double marker ka separate risk. I have just one risk, that is combined test of nuchal scan plus double marker. Now suppose in that you find it is in, now you said it is, patient is 40 years age, right? So when you are interpreting any screening test for trisomy 21, 18, 13, remember one thing, age makes a baseline risk for patient. So if the patient is 40 years, obviously her baseline risk is going to be high. And that's the reason, whatever is the result is going to be, even if it is a low risk patient, it may come in intermediate risk because the age risk itself was very high, right? So the entire purpose of doing a screening test itself is to reduce number of invasives. So if you feel that it is the age risk which was high, because of which even if the risk was improved from 1 in 50 to maybe 1 in 300, that's a good correction of risk, right? So then you don't go back and look at the age risk, right? You look at the final risk, posterior risk at the end of screening process. So at the end of it, you can counsel the patient that to begin with your risk was high because of your age itself. From that it has improved to this. Now again, always counsel about the number that you get at the end. Suppose if it is 1 in, with such and such combined FTS, 1 out of 300 will be affected, 299 will be still normal. Are you okay with this risk? Now what are the options available? If it is trisomy 21, 18, 13, you have secondary screening test, that is NIPS. Or if you want to be 100% sure, you have CVS or amnio. So we put all the options in front of patient, let patient take decision. We never take decision that now you go for this test, now you go for this test. No. We put all the tests. Now you have these options available with this sensitivity. What do you want? Or if patient is okay, 1 in 300 mane 299 are okay, I am fine with this risk, I don't want anything. Go for your anomaly scan with genetic sonogram that we do, in which again we look for 9 markers for trisomy 21. We refine the risk in intermediate risk, and then at the end of your anomaly scan with genetic sonogram, if the risk is still low, then patient can be counseled.
But patient says you
Comes as low risk, then 99.9%, again you have to tell 99 tests. So again, pre-test counseling is must before NIPS also. That because you are spending 15,000 rupees, that doesn't mean that you will get answer 100%. No, if it shows positive, CVS obviously amniocentesis usually is required after NIPS, because you have to go for a confirmatory test.
Or even if it is negative, then 100%.
You say that patient choose this, right? So write that way. And you all females are very good at it. In the evening, they ask their husband, खाने में क्या बनाओ? They will say, परोठा बना. रात में कोई परोठा खाता है? फिर भिंडी बना. अरे वो तो कल ही खाई थी. डोसा बना. उसके लिए तो सुबह से प्रिपेयर करना पड़ता है. तो फिर जो बनाना है बनाए. नहीं तुम बताओ. Right? So that is what patient.
Good answer to when patient says कि नहीं आप decide करो, you can say I am not there in your position, so I cannot decide for you. You are there in your position, you have to decide for yourself. I am a doctor, I am not in your position, so you have to take decision.
One question for issues which are sex-linked. Can we declare that?
100%. That is what the purpose of the law. The purpose of the act is to regularize the sex determinant. And if you read Form F, column 11, it is mentioned very clearly that sonography should be done for sex determination only for sex-linked diseases, right? So it is mentioned in the law itself. And if you do not detect, then it is medico-legal consequence. If suppose you do not detect ambiguous genital, if you do not detect any, then you are liable for under consumer law, and case can be filed against you for crores of rupees.
So in that case, there's a declaration. How do we fill up, or what
Because
document do we make that?
few words are missing. That is what is the problem when non-doctors are drafting the law. The purpose is sex selection. If you read section 2 of the PCPNDT Act, selection purpose. But you can definitely do it for ruling out the congenital anomalies or sex-linked diseases.
Yes, sir. But then, what change do I make in that? form
Nothing.
of
You can't change the law. You understand?
How do I write extra over there?
No, you
I
don't
am
have to.
telling the, sex
Form
determination.
Form F is part of the law. If you read section 33 and 34 of the PCPNDT, they have to present it before the parliament, and within 6 months it should be passed as a law, as an amendment to the law. So nobody can change the law. Form F is a part of Act. You cannot change even full stop and comma in that. So do not change anything, just take the signature, that's it.
Okay, like I had a patient who was, hemophilia and all those things, and then that lady came up with a... So, दबे शब्दों में कहना है?
Yeah, खुल के कहना है, खुल के कहना है. You write down that there is no need for any further test.
Okay.
Right. So write down
They
that.
can interpret कि whatever sex is
वो
that.
उनको जो करना है करें, उनका प्रॉब्लम है.
Right.
Right. You just say.
And then another scenario where I see on scan at anomaly scan 18 weeks that it is ambiguous genitalia.
You have to mention.
So I'll mention in
Yes,
this form
if you
it
see
is
ovarian
ambiguous.
cyst in the fetus, you have to write it is ovarian cyst.
I mention it as ovarian cyst, or I mention it as
No, there you be specific.
specific.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And I do the signatures as we do for all
Yes,
the
section
others.
3 it is mentioned any congenital anomaly. So ovarian cyst is a congenital anomaly or not?
Yes, it is.
So you have to mention it. Otherwise it is, law is allowing you, you are not doing it. In consumer law you will lose the case if some lawyer is medico-legally well aware. Right.
And in such case of this ambiguous genitalia, we did go ahead with the invasive test, and even the lab had to tell the sex of the baby to us. Do we tell the...
Right. So whatever your report is, you have to write it in your report.
Fine.
Right.
Right, female, you have to write only ovarian.
Thing is, it is not prohibited, and in India, the thing which is not prohibited is allowed. You understand that? The thing which is not specifically prohibited is allowed. We are living in a free country, independent free country, right? Sovereign country. So we can do whatever is not prohibited specifically. So it is not prohibited, so it is allowed.
Commercial surrogacy is allowed in India.
Yes. Not for foreigners. It is prohibited by a circular.
So maybe picture it was wrong actually. Foreigners came and
That it must be, you take the scenario before 2015. The circular came on 27th October 2015.
I have a question. Thank you, sir. I just have a question. Just want to know about the neonatal screening part. About neonatal screening part, which Shivanjali talked of. How they are taking the sample and what actually they are doing with that sample. See in that sample, I mean, how to convince the patient that.
So ma'am, basically there are 7 disorders. These 7 disorders are metabolic genetic disorders which will actually impair your brain, your entire muscular system and the other organs. It's a multi-organ damage that happens. So if we screen the fetus earlier, how earlier? Earlier means after 2 days of life to 20 days of life. So when we identify that there is a genetic issue, we can really treat them and give them a better life. Because these are correctable genetic conditions.
I know, that is why actually what happens that, as you said, that beyond 6 months at times it happens that now the baby starts becoming IUCR, and it happens. And many a time you have to terminate the pregnancy and the baby looks morphologically okay. Or many a times they have low SAT-ER, many a times they have decreased intracanthal distance. So in that case, yes, of course it will be of great help if we go for DPS, because that will help, that may help.
Yes, yes. So ma'am, if it is a ongoing pregnancy which is terminated, we can actually collect the DNA. As ma'am, somebody actually asked, if microarray is done, do we really ask for a DNA storage? So the answer here to this question could be, it could be indication specific. So if I know that I am suspecting DiGeorge, I will get a microarray done and the case is actually over if I get the diagnosis. But if the diagnosis is a broad spectrum, like I am getting epicanthic fold is there, dysmorphic faces are there, short limbs are there, so all this is a multifactorial thing. It could be either a skeletal dysplasia or it could be a metabolic condition. It could be an inborn errors of metabolism. So if I do a microarray just to rule out the chromosomal problems, then I'm not really answering that particular case. Then I do a microarray as a first-line investigation because ISHRAE guidelines tells me that if there's a dysmorphism, you go ahead and do a microarray first. We follow the law, follow the rules. Then the stored DNA can be used to do a exome-based testing where we can identify what is the exact diagnosis. So it has to be a step-by-step investigation that has to take place where it is a neonatal period. So neonatal period is where you have the baby. So there are 2 scenarios. One, you have a well baby. You send the baby back after the delivery, 3-4 days. Or you have a baby who's in the NICU, PICU. NICU, PICU patients, we generally recommend doing normal Bio7, that is a newborn screening, plus DNA storage, plus a TMS. So this is a broad panel that we would definitely offer for a critical patient. If it's a normal well baby, it's a universal screening, Bio7 can be opted. So now since we are into a belt of thalassemia, newborn screening Bio7 with thalassemia needs to be considered. So that we can help the patient. If it is a sickle, we can really pick it up as early as possible and help the patient.
So Bio7 will rule out major problems.
Major.
Thank you.
TMS is tandem mass spectroscopy. We rule out about 49 disorders in that, which includes majorly the metabolic condition. So these metabolic conditions will generally present after 2 days of life because they'll start their own metabolic system, operationally metabolic system, because they're anyways operating on the mother's metabolic system. So after 2 days, we'll understand if there's any metabolite which is lacking or there's any concentration of a metabolite in the body. So that's going to be understood only after 2 days of life. That's after the first feed that is given.
Ma'am, please.
May I request Dr. Thank you so much, sir.
Ma'am.
May I
Society also.
It is on your business that it has been successful. Thank you also.
This is a take-home message, and that's why I want to make it clear. The 20 to 24 window is for abnormal fetus. So make sure that you have documentation and everything along with you when you are doing this kind of termination. So it is not that the level of termination is 24 weeks. It is 20 to 24 week changes with anomalous features, and that is why Madam is here with all her team from CMHO office. They all have a lot of issues. They are saying that the members are not doing online submissions. That is one issue. Then the second issue is, if we are not doing any termination for the month, the account should go as zero. You can't just not submit the report. The submission of report has to be as zero. And believe me, couple of months back, we did call almost 60 members from our society, trying to request them to put their details on the Google Sheet which they have introduced. But the answers are not very brilliant. The reason is, we have to safeguard ourselves, as sir has rightly said. That is why the whole effort is, and I'm so thankful from CMHO office, Madam is here to take care of all the queries and make sure that if any one of you have any trouble, you have a number or you have a person now whom you can talk to and get things sorted out. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you very much. I will just show an overview in very speed. The MTP is permissible beyond 20 weeks. This was the existing act. Only when it is immediately necessary to save the life of pregnant women. Now the amendment is enhance the upper gestational limit from 20 to 24 weeks for special categories of women. Next is the existing act has provision for termination of such pregnancies only up to 20 weeks. But the amendment is the upper gestational limit will not apply in cases of pregnancies with substantial fetal anomalies diagnosed by a medical board, as may be prescribed under the rules made under this act. Now the condition of failure of contraceptive is applicable for any married woman or her husband. This was the existing act. But the amendment is the condition of failure of contraceptive to be extended for any woman or her partner. The potential outcome is the increase in access of unmarried women to safe and legal abortions. Now the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Regulation 2003 mentioned that information should not be disclosed except under authority of law. But the name and other particulars of a woman whose pregnancy has been terminated shall not be revealed except to a person authorized by any law for the time being in force. The insertion of new clause for strengthening privacy. The Act prescribes rules under the Act on the category of women who will be eligible for extended gestational period for termination of pregnancy from 20 to 24 weeks. The norms for the registered medical practitioner whose opinion is required for termination of pregnancy at different gestational age, the powers and function of the medical board. The category of women who will be eligible for extended gestational period for termination of pregnancy from 20 till 24 weeks. The survivors of sexual assault, rape and incest, the minors, the change of marital status during the ongoing pregnancy, the woman with physical disabilities, major disability or as per criteria under the Disability Act, or mentally ill women, the fetal malformation, and the woman with pregnancy in humanitarian. The norms for RMP whose opinion is required for termination of pregnancy till 9 weeks. The experience and training requirement for RMP, the experience at any hospital, 3 months in the practice of OBS and gynae, or has independently performed 10 cases of MTP. In a hospital, this is for 9 weeks. Established or maintained or a training institute approved for this purpose by the government. The practitioner who has assisted RMP in the performance of 25 cases of MTP, for which at least 5 has to be done independently in the hospital. The practitioner who holds a postgraduate degree or diploma in OBS and gynae, a practitioner who has completed 6 months house surgery in OBS and gynae, and a practitioner who has experience of at any hospital for a period of not less than 1 year in the practice of OBS and gynae. Now till 12 weeks, experience and training requirement for RMP, a practitioner who has assisted RMP in the performance of 25 cases of MTP, of which at least 5 has been done independently in a hospital, a practitioner who holds a postgraduate degree or diploma in OBS and gynae, a practitioner who has completed 6 months house surgery, a practitioner who has experience at any hospital for a period of not less than 1 year in the practice of OBS and gynae. Now beyond 12 weeks till 20 weeks, experience and training, the postgraduate degree or diploma in OBS gynae, 6 months house surgery in OBS gynae, or period of not less than 1 year in the practice of OBS gynae. Now beyond 20 to till 24 weeks, the experience and training requirement for RMP is the postgraduate degree or diploma in OBS gynae, 6 months house surgery, and 1 year experience in practice of OBS gynae. Here the opinion of 2 RMPs is required. Now beyond 24 weeks, the experience and training required for RMP is the postgraduate degree or diploma in OBS gynae and 1 year in the practice of OBS gynae. But here the opinion of medical board is required for the termination of procedure when advised by the medical board is carried out with all safety precautions along with the appropriate counseling at an appropriate place. Now the powers of medical board to allow or deny termination of pregnancy beyond 24 weeks of gestational period only after due consideration and ensuring that the procedure would be safe for the woman at that gestational age and whether the fetal malformation has substantial risk of it being incompatible with life or if the child when born would suffer from such physical or mental abnormalities to be seriously handicapped. Co-opt other specialists in the board and ask for any additional investigations if required for deciding on the termination of pregnancy. Now the functions of medical board to examine the woman and her reports, provide the opinion of medical board in Form D, and to ensure that the termination procedure when advised by the medical board is carried out with all safety precautions. Now the composition of medical board. In medical board there is 1 gynecologist, 1 pediatrician and 1 radiologist or sonologist. Now other related amendments. The gestational limit for TLC approval for private facilities has increased. With this change, now we have the following gestational limit till 12 weeks and till 24 weeks and beyond 24 weeks. The private facilities can perform abortion beyond 24 weeks only after the medical board approval. And till 12 weeks, a gynecologist examination, labor table, these are the requirements of their private facilities. Now the responsibilities of private health facilities, this is very important. They have to share monthly report to the CMHO office by 30th of every month in Form 2. The reporting period would be 26th to 25th of the succeeding month. They have to maintain below documents, that is the Form C, that is the consent form, Form 1, that is the RMP opinion form, Form 3, the admission register for case records, and ensure that all the necessary requirements are fulfilled all the time. They have to display their site approval certificate in Form B in their facility. This is the Form B. You have to fill this monthly reporting form. This is the Form C, this is the consent form. You have to take the consent in this form. In this form, you are always safe. If you fill this form, you are safe, as sir said, that this is the legal document and it will protect you from all the laws. I hope so. This is Form 1, the RMP opinion form. This is the admission register for case records. This is Form 3. In admission register for MTP, you have to fill all the columns in this format for the admission of patient. This is the medical board of Gandhi Medical College. You just have to refer the patient to the medical board for permission.
Of the hospital, and superintendent will take care. He is hospital prabandhak, so he will check when the board is sitting and he will tell the patient when to come. So he has to go to the superintendent office, not to gynec department.
Actually, sir, in our state we have 13 government medical colleges. So Sultania is a separate obs-gynae hospital, and here they have shown the.
This board is gazetted. See, each district will gazette the board.
Yes.
So this board is gazetted. So from everywhere this will come to this board.
No, we have 13 medical boards gazetted.
So all 13 gazetted. So you have a choice to send anywhere.
Because ours is the last state, so the women from Dindori won't come to.
So you can send it to any board, anybody, where the patient is residing.
For all the FOXI members. And now ministry has asked to constitute medical board at district hospital also.
Fine. So as many board, it is good to have many boards.
There is still a lot of ambiguity in this. क्योंकि board has been formed, that is okay. But अभी भी कोई channelize नहीं हुआ है कुछ भी चीज़.
नहीं channelize, जैसे सर ने कहा superintendent अध्यक्ष है तो उसी के पास जाए. और he has to be vigilant and
it has just formed hardly a week or 15 days back.
सुल्तानिया बिल्कुल मोबाइल पे डाल दो.
GOI जो ये अपना MD गवर्नमेंट का खुला है वो channelize करे तो हमें भी पता चले.
I must tell you, you have very nice. Madam, can you get transferred to Maharashtra? This is really, you are lucky to have such authority.
Submitted is only from 62 private facilities. The rest are not submitting their report. So if they are not performing any MTP, they have to send the report as nil. And if you don't submit your report for consecutive 3 months, the CMHO office will take action against your private facility. Form B.
Hello. Madam, one question. ऑनलाइन लिंक क्या है या MTP का कोई साइट है क्या?
We are provided to CMHO office.
May I request box people to please send it again?
Madam, the problem is we keep on sending it and we don't
Keep on sending.
Madam, we can't.
No, it's not possible, madam.
Madam, I work at 10 places. I can't do it. I get such a poor response from the members. I'm so sorry to say this.
What kind of
But
response you want?
आज अभी कुछ बोल देते हैं, अभी मैं इनके सारे फॉर्म्स भेजूंगी, अगला कुछ तो भी थर्ड क्लास वीडियो पोस्ट करता है मेंबर and that whole thing gets diluted. Please don't do this way. It's a sincere request. फिर से we will send Google Sheet again. See, I have no problem in sending Google Sheet every month. I can do that. But it is so depressing to see the response and to get why the officials are so bothered. Why are they coming on Sunday here to address the members? Like, one need to realize all these situations.
See, madam, I will put it in a different way. To understand one thing, in PCPNDT, if you do not report, the punishment is 3 years of imprisonment. In MTP, there is no such provision of punishment, so we are relaxed. But it is said in the law that if you do not follow the law, if you do not follow the norms, someone else will make you do so. So do not expect any amendment in the MTP. If these complaints will go that nobody is reporting, the law will come and they will make a punishable offense, and then we will do it. Right? So please do it now. It is better. They also require to have data. So it is better to report, and whatever they say, we have to follow. Otherwise, the amendment will come that there is punishment and everybody will be in problem. So please do that.
Thank you, sir.
Directly call them or call their people and they reply within couple of minutes. For even Pradhan Mantri Surakshit Matritva Abhiyan, it's the same. Even for these Google spreadsheets and all, initially they came with a password. So many of the members called me up saying कि वो password खुल नहीं रहा है. Within 10 minutes, they went back and unlocked the passwords. They rechanged the Google Sheets, and immediately I got a phone call कि madam, it has been done. Communicate it to the members. I did communicate it to the members. But as Sir has rightly said, we need to honor the benefits which we are getting. That is one. And if it is a requirement, we should send as nil if we are not doing it. I think it is for the safement of our own members.
Didi, it was very right when you made an official.
I did. There is another official group only where I am not allowing anyone else to send it. So when you are looking at the messages, you send it on see on the BOGS group, as well as there is one OBG group, Bhopal, on which I am just sending official notifications. So please go back. If any of the members are not there on the group, just let me know. The second thing is we have a lot of issues still with new members joining in. The recent note has been received from Foxy Mumbai that the next year membership list has to go by 15th of January. So when we have our next meeting in December, the whole membership forms will reopen. Because of COVID, we had a lot of issues and we were able to send the list in the month of August. So this is another sincere request to the members that see, we don't have a staff over here. Other societies do have separate staff. Here people are working on voluntary basis, whether it is me, whether it is Mudita, or whether it is in past Dr. Meeta has done it, or Juhe has done it, or Dr. Viraj has done it. We all have done it. Manisha Lee has done it. So we have done it on our own basis, on voluntary basis. We need cooperation from the members. Please, this is a very sincere request. फोन कर करके परेशान हो जाते हैं, मोबाइल नंबर नहीं मिलता है, ईमेल आईडी मिलता है. मेरे पास अभी 2 दिन पहले फिर से 50 लोगों की नंबर लिस्ट आई है. उनके मोबाइल नंबर नहीं है, उनके सर्टिफिकेट्स नहीं है, उनके ईमेल आईडीज नहीं है. प्रतिभा इज देयर, शी इज अवेयर. लास्ट ईयर भी यही प्रॉब्लम्स हो रहे थे. तो इट इज अ वेरी सिंपल सिंसियर रिक्वेस्ट कि आप रिस्पॉन्ड करें whatever queries are, and we make sure that the phone call goes as भोपाल OBGYN सोसाइटी से बात कर रहे हैं, whomever I try to tell them to call. So please answer those phone calls. Thank you so much.
Yes, I have a small request. Many gynecologists, they don't know about form A, B, C, 1, 2. They are not at all aware about it. So please provide a handout so that they can keep a photocopy with them and do it accordingly and systematically. Because this is what I personally feel I've been talking about.
We can plan a session on this also.
List of forms.
Very good, sir.
And ignorance of the law is not a defense in law. You must know the law. When law is passed by the parliament and gazetted, it is presumed that everybody knows about it. So we have to have those forms, and it is there on Google. All forms, PMDT forms, MTP forms. Just Google it, download it and use it.
Since we have our own resource person here, so we can ask her. That is it. It is just a matter of ease.
For driving this session for today.
Right? AICOG Indore 2021 is coming very fast. So the members who have registered, I would like to get their names. There is a parade which Bhopal Society has to present. All MP societies are going to come out and have parade on 10th of June in the morning hours. So if any member is there on 10th of January, not June, sorry, 10th of January morning and would like to be a part of the parade, please give me their names. There are a couple of members from executive body which are there. And the theme which Bhopal Society, they have given themes to all societies. Bhopal Society has picked up vaccination in women. There are various different societies have picked up different themes. Bhopal Society has picked up vaccination in women. And we are going to have a small presentation. It is going to be a march past kind of a parade. And the presentation is going to be in front of the chief, whoever are there for that particular parade. The second thing is, the executive body was planned right now, but there are a couple of details. If anyone is interested, I can let them know. जो parade के लिए details work out हुए हैं, I have already told you the theme. Yeah, no, we are going to plan couple of things for that, and parade का एक group बना लो. हाँ, parade का एक group बना लेंगे, and then we can highlight that. Sure. Thank you so much for your, yeah, thank you.
Organizing this gathering.
All the members of Bhopal Logi Society who remain present, because of whom it could be such successful CME, and thanks to, of course, Lilac Insight for sponsoring this. Thank you so much. It was indeed a pleasure for all of us to have a great learning experience. Thank you.
भैया थोड़ी सी जगह छोड़ देना, मेरे को अपने सेक्रेटरी का फोटो चिपकाना पड़ेगा कहीं. शॉप करना है, मेरे ऊपर चिपकाना पड़ेगा, मेरे ऊपर तो वो लड़ाई करेगी मेरे से. चलो अभी डन. थैंक यू.
Yes, ready. Wait. Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Ready.